Hey, welcome back to the videos. We're still in our series of vids where we're going back revisiting some of these old classic tunes, and I'm just trying to give you some ideas to take you down some different avenues and spice up the versions that you already play. I've chosen Sally Gooden, which is another old classic, again in the key of A. I don't know why all these songs I've chosen have wound up being in the key of A, but just how it is. So I've capoed the 2nd fret. Sally Gooden is known as a fiddle tune, but Earl's version on the banjo has become the standard for what three-finger banjo players hold in high regard. So I'm going to base this version, I'm going to play the standard model on Earl's version, and then we'll kind of dissolve it and see what we can do maybe with melodic style. So I'm going to zoom in on the fingerboard, and I'm going to assume again that you already play Sally Gooden and that you're familiar with the shapes. This is an A chord at the 9th and 11th frets, but we're going to dissolve that into the Sally Gooden / Cumberland Gap position, which is a partial of this A chord. So I'll play the standard version, and then we'll dissolve the Scruggs version away and see what we can do maybe melodically. So, again, this is not a note-for-note transcription of Earl's solo, but it's obvious that I'm basing, most of it on Earl's version. And that's probably the version that everybody learns as a banjo player in Scruggs style, and it's great. It has some melody, has some cool filler passages, has a little chromatic thing going on here. But if you wanted to expand your version, obviously you could throw in more Scruggs licks, you could change your roll patterns around. But for this video, to deal with the A part of Sally Gooden, I'm going to switch gears and go melodically, because the melodic style will allow you to capture some of the movements of the bow, some of the note choices that the fiddle player would play, and just gives you a different sound, because our goal here is not to say that Earl's version is bad, because it's not. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. Great ideas, the tone, everything's there. But this just gives you another way to render the melody for Sally Gooden with melodic style. Now, one important thing to take note of, as I like to point out to my students, is this position is one of the most used in Scruggs style. It's a partial of a D-shaped chord, in this case a partial of an A. In melodic style, this is kind of like the same thing as this. While we'll call this the Cumberland Gap position, I often refer to this as the Blackberry Blossom position, because the tune Blackberry Blossom, which is generally played in the key of G, uses this position. So this is a movable position, but it's not related to a chord, it's related to a scale. So when you learn a scale on the banjo melodically, like here's an A scale, when you cross over into the 2nd octave or the next set of notes, and then of course you continue up the neck, that position represents a fragment or just a small chunk of a scale pathway. So you'll notice on the fingerboard that the Sally Gooden position and this melodic fragment share something in common. The 1st string is in the same location for both positions. But you'll notice this note is at the 12th, the 14th, is that 12? Yeah, it's 12. I'm looking at it upside down on the camera. Is at the 12th fret. And the note that they have in common is the 1st string, so there's a physical connection between these two positions, but they have a radically different sound. So generally you'll have a drone. The 1st string and the 5th string in this case, or the 2nd string and the 5th string will be the same. But here, none of the notes will be the same. You automatically get that melodic flavor of notes bleeding over. Where in the Scruggs partial chord idea, the 5th string and the 2nd string will be repeated notes. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's one of the cool quirks about Scruggs style is drones. but melodic style will get us away from that sound immediately. Now, what notes do we have in common with the melody as far as these two positions go? Well, we're coming back to the third string, but in the Scruggs version, we're reaching up, and then we're reaching for the 12th fret. So this 13th fret note of the second string is not something that you'll typically hear in a standard melodic version of the melody. Not to say that you can't throw that note in, because you do hear chromatic intervals in melodic style all the time. But maybe for another video I'll throw in some chromatic ideas. But for right now I want to stay as close to the general melody as I can. So I'm going to kick out this note, that 13th fret of the second string. And the other note that we have in common, you'll notice is you come to this note at the 11th fret of the third string 2 times. In that opening section of the song. And then in this section, you come to it another 2 times. So we're hitting that note 4 times in that solo. So we need to keep these notes and this note. So these 2 notes, and this note, and the 5th string open will represent the melody. So what am I going to do with this position? All 3 of these fretted notes and the open 5th. Well, I'm going to put them in patterns that fit melodic style. Here's the pattern I'm going to use, which is forward roll 5, 2, 1. Then I'm going to reverse it 2, 1. I'm sorry, 5, 2, 1, 2, 5. Now I'm going to go backwards 1, 2, 5, 3. So again, it's forward. Then I'm going to turn it back on itself, so almost a reverse roll. You go 2, 5. 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 3. Now there's where that note would come in. 11th fret of the third. Now I'm going to use the first string, kind of like my drone string now. Open first. Now I'm going to come back to this position and go 5, 1, 2, 5, 3. And then I could play a couple of filler kind of grace note things to fill out this hole, but I'm not. I'm going to let that note stand on its own and ring out and fill that hole, or cut it off and let there be a rest. Now I'm going to come back to 5, 1, 2, 5 is my next roll pattern. 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. And then I could have a couple of notes as filler if I want, but again, I'm going to let that note stand on its own. And then we have this part to cover, which is the Scruggs version. I can find those notes here, which is basically very similar to what I do in the Scruggs version. So I'm just going to reposition my hands. Why? I want to play the third string at, this case, 9, second string open, but I like to do quirky things with the first string in melodic style. So I'm going to add the first string in between these 2 notes. So it's going to be the third string at 9, second string open, and then I'm going to inject the first string open, which again gives me a little quirky of that sound of that Earl drone, because the third string at 9 is the same as the open first now because I'm capable. If you don't like that drone sound, you can just go 3, 2, 3, 2. But I'm going to mix it in with the first string. Now I'm going to lay this finger down. The index finger is going to go to the 7th fret of the second string. Or if you're going 3, 2, 3, 2, you're going to add this note, but I want to make it more melodic and fit the style. So when I grab this note, I'm going to play this melodic passage. I'm going to play 3, 2, 5. So for me, it's going to be 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 5. Let's see if I can get my hands out of the way here. 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 5. Now if I put all this together, I'll have a melodic version of those measures. Rest. Now since I'm going to do the repeat now, like we do in the Scruggs version, I'm not going to double up the fifth string. I'm just going to go right into the pattern again, starting on the first string instead of the fifth. Everything's the same. And then I'll leave a rest there, and that will lead us into this section. So however you fret that. So what am I going to do with this position? Well, since this is the 14th fret, and we're generally doing the Scruggs approach, doing a forward roll over that position, and then adding the notes on the first string, I'm going to reposition these notes, the notes that we're playing like this, up on the fifth string. So by playing the open fifth string and that, I get more of that melodic sound, and these are scale notes. So how will I mix this fretted fifth string in with the open fifth? Well, I'll just pick a finger and just drop it in. So I'm going to choose a roll pattern that gives me more of that melodic feel and allows me to drop in this note. You might say, well, isn't that note the same as this note? They are. The first string at 16 is the same as the fifth string at 16, but I get a different flavor because I'm using the open fifth string differently. What roll am I playing? I'm going 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1. And then I may do this, double the first string. 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5. And then how do I tag it? Because there's a tag at the end of each of those sections. I'm going to use a melodic tag. And my tag is going to be 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, 3, 5. 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, 3, 5. 5, 2, 1, 5, 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, 3, 5. Now again, this is melodic style, so you're going to be using your thumb and your index and your middle differently. And these positions for your right hand are going to feel really strange if you're not used to playing melodic scales on the banjo. But once you get used to it, it's actually physically easier to do some of these things than it is to use the pinky in Scruggs style. That takes a lot of flexibility in the joints, a lot of strength in your pinky to be able to maneuver around this position. Melodic style is a little more intuitive, and the ergonomics for your left hand is a little better. It'll be quirky at first, but you'll find that it's very comfortable to do these changes. The right hand is really quirky because you're not always doing standard rolls like you would think. You're coming in and out of roll patterns, and you're trying to find the scale notes that you're looking for. So your thumb and your index, your middle finger sometimes will pick the inside strings. So here's what we have for this last section of the A part. Now I'm going to put all this together, and we'll have a new melodic version of Sally Gooden, the A section. new melodic version of the A section of Sally Gooden. And once you get playing around with these positions, you get familiar with them, you'll even notice, like in the video, as I got comfortable with what I was doing, I started to improvise over those melodic notes. And you may hear an occasional grace note that wasn't in the version I started with, because it's really hard for me to play the same way all the time, so I have to really make myself do it. But what you feel is, you feel the melody in all this, but every note you play is now part of the melodic content of the tune. Whereas in Scruggs, some of it is just rolls over chords, and then you have probably fewer true melody notes in the Earl's version, but Earl's version has the drive and, you know, all those cool syncopated patterns. But either one's not right or wrong, but if you wanted to stay truer to the fiddle melody, melodic style will allow you to play note for note with what you hear a typical fiddle player render. So you can switch back and forth, and again, like we've talked about, you can say, well, I don't want to play the entire version of Sally Gooden melodically. Maybe I want to play half of the A-part stroke style and half of it, or maybe a quarter of it here. You can drop in melodic ideas anywhere in the flow of that A part of the song. It's up to you to do. But I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next video. Thanks.